Web Marketing That Works podcast, episode number 103, with today's guest, Sam Horn.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
Hey, it's Adam Franklin from the Web Marketing That Works podcast. This is the show for people like you who love marketing on the web. You'll be taken behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments. We'll look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we confess what's failed and reveal the truth about what really works. The show is brought to you by our book, which is called Web Marketing That Works, and the gift for you, our listener, are the bonus 33 free marketing templates. So you can get your hands on those over at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. Now today's guest is Sam Horn, author of Got Your Attention. And the tagline for that is How to Create Intrigue and Connect with Anyone. Sam is known as the Intrigue Expert. She's a positioning strategist who helps clients create one-of-a-kind presentations, pitches, books, and businesses that scale income and influence. Sam speaks all around the world and has a very, very popular TED Talk, which I'll include in the show notes. Now listen into this interview and you will discover a really easy way to discover if people are interested in what you're saying, and also how to intrigue people and convey what makes you interesting and valuable through your website and through your online presence. So stick around for that, and we're also going to go into a bit of a live workshop on my own elevator pitch, or what Sam likes to call it, an elevator connection, so that it's a conversation, not just a monologue. All right, let's get on with the show. My name's Adam Franklin, and I'm here with Sam Horn, the author of Got Your Attention. How are you, Sam?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to sharing some ideas with your listeners, Adam.
That's really cool. So thank you. Now, look, one of the first things I really liked about, firstly, your TED Talk is that really easy way to see if people are interested in what you're saying, and you call it the eyebrow test. I'm just wondering if you can run me and my listeners through that really simple test.
You bet. From now on, you can tell whether you've got people's interest by just watching their eyebrows. If their eyebrows are crunched up right now, just crunch up your eyebrows. Do you feel confused? Well, confused people don't say yes. Now, if their eyebrows are unmoved, it means they're unmoved, or they've had Botox. Now, if their eyebrows are up, and now just lift your own eyebrows. Do you feel intrigued, curious, like you want to know more? That means we just got what we care about in their mental door.
That's a really neat way to do that. Okay, so a lot of our listeners, this podcast is called Web Marketing That Works, and that's really good if you can actually see people face to face. But what are some techniques, I guess, if you're communicating with people online via email or Twitter or Facebook, are there some online equivalents of that, or is it just not possible online?
It's absolutely possible in line. In fact, unless someone's driving, I hope they take notes, because you and I are going to jump right into it. And these are some ideas that will help people be instantly intrigued in your website or in your online marketing or in your e-products or in your blogs or social media or whatever. So if you have notes, put a vertical line down the center, and on top of the left-hand column, put infobesity. This is what we're going to avoid. And over on the right, put intrigue. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to replace infobesity, which crunches up those eyebrows, and we're going to replace it with intrigue, which gets those eyebrows up. So you want one of my favorite techniques that works, whether it's online or on the page or on the stage?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So here's a quick 60-second story, and then I will give a technique that everyone can use almost immediately to get bottom-line results. So here's the quick 60-second story. As you may know, I'm the Springboard Pitch Coach. So they've helped entrepreneurs get $6.6 billion in funding. But now one of my clients came to me and she said, Sam, I got good news, bad news. I said, what's the good news? She said, I'm pitching to a room full of investors. I said, that's great. And what's the bad news? She said, I only have 10 minutes. She said, you can't say anything in 10 minutes. And I said, Kathleen, you don't have 10 minutes, you have 60 seconds. And now online, we don't even have 60 seconds. We have about 10 seconds. So here's what we did with an opening that not only got her millions in funding, she was selected as one of Business Week's most promising social entrepreneurs. Did you know there are 1.8 billion vaccinations given every year? Did you know up to half of those are given with reused needles? Did you know we're spreading and perpetuating the very diseases we're trying to prevent? Imagine if there were a painless, one-use needle for a fraction of the current cost. You don't have to imagine it. We've created it. And she's off and running. Are your eyebrows up, Adam?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, now here's how everyone listening can do this online. First, what is your product? What is your service? What is it that you're trying to promote or sell or at least get people interested in? Do not start by telling people what you're going to tell them. That's infobesity. Instead, start with 3 did you know questions that your audience, your visitors, your decision makers won't know. So what could you say that's did you know that goes to the scope of the problem that you're solving, or the urgency of the issue that you're addressing, or the size of the market, that the need that you're meeting? And now if you're thinking, Sam, where do I get these startling statistics that get people's eyebrows up? Just Google that stuff. GTS. I guarantee you, if you go to Google and you put in search, what are startling statistics about blank, now put in your product or your industry or your problem or your issue, up are going to come things even you don't know. And now if you're an expert and you don't know it, that means your audience probably won't know it. It's the quickest way to get smart, skeptical people's attention is by introducing something they don't know. Now next, bridge into the word imagine. See, the word imagine pulls people out of their preoccupation because they're not distracted. They're actually picturing your point. They're seeing what you're saying. And link the word imagine to 3 aspects of your solution to the problem or your product that meets that need or your answer to that issue. So let's go back to my client. Her name was actually Kathleen Callender of Pharmajet. Now, before we worked together, do you know how she started out on her website and in her PowerPoint slides and pitch?
Oh,
She would explain to people what Pharmajet was. And her explanation was, it was a medical delivery device for subcutaneous inoculations. What?
Wow.
See, we don't get it, right? And if we don't get it, we don't want it, and we don't keep reading. So we asked ourselves, all right, what do her decision makers care about? Well, they care about those painful inoculations, so we made it painless. And of course, they care about those reused needles, so we made it one use. And almost every customer decision maker cares about money, so we said it was a fraction of the current cost. Now, in a world of infobesity, do you see how we distilled into one succinct sentence? Who wouldn't want that scenario? That's what you want the visitors to your website or the readers of your copy to be thinking. It's like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Imagine this. Well, that sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds great. And now you bridge to the third part. You don't have to imagine it. We've created it. Now you come in with your precedents, your evidence, your benchmarks, so that you are proving that this isn't pie in the sky or speculative. This is a done deal, and they can trust you to deliver it. All of that can be done in one page. All of that can be done above the fold in one screen, in the first 60 seconds, and other people are still telling people what they're going to tell them, and you already won buy-in, all in under 60 seconds.
Because you've been intriguing.
There you go.
Okie dokie. So in the book, you lay out an 8-step framework for the intrigue process, but we won't dive into all of those. But I guess you've touched on the first one, haven't you? Which is what you'd call the 60-second intro, where you ask those 3 did you know type questions, and then you go into delivering the rest of the framework. Is that right?
And by the way, in that section of the book, which is an intro that has people at hello, That's just one of the techniques. We have 8 other ways that you can pleasantly surprise busy, skeptical, distracted people and get their attention in that first minute. So what other techniques you want to talk about?
Well, what I really love is we hear of elevator pitches. I like how you prefer to create an elevator connection. That really intrigued me, Sam. So maybe you could talk us through that.
Oh, I'd love to. It's so here's my question to everyone listening. What do you say when people say, what do you do? And now, does it get those crunched up eyebrows? Are people confused? Do they not get it? Does it end the conversation? So once again, a 60-second story, and I'm going to give you 3 steps that can really give you the freedom to go anywhere, anytime, meet anyone, and create a meaningful conversation. And you can do this on the page too. Okay, so I was speaking for Inc. 500, and here was Colleen, Entrepreneur of the Year. And I said, so what do you do? Wah, 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 wah. At the end of a minute, no one in the room had any idea what she did. And now, Adam, think of the lost opportunity cost. I mean, these are the top entrepreneurs in the country. No one's going to walk up to her to continue the conversation or to pose a strategic partnership. She literally had lost millions of dollars of opportunity cost. So I said, from now on, never tell people what you do. Once again, that's infobesity. Instead, ask a 3-part question about the results of what you do. For example, I said, what do you do that we can see or smell or taste or touch? And she thought about it for a moment. She said, I run the medical facilities that offer MRIs and CAT scans. I said, great. Now don't tell people that, because then they'll go, oh, that's the end of the conversation. We don't want to end the conversation. We want to open one. So I said, turn it into a 3-part question. She said, what's this about 3 parts? And I said, if you ask a 1-part question, have you ever had an MRI or CAT scan? And they say no, you just ran into a conversation cul-de-sac. So if you say, have you, a friend or a family member, ever had an MRI or a CAT scan? Now, put a sock in it and listen to what they say. And what you're doing is you're listening for the commonality. So maybe they're going to say, oh, yeah, my daughter hurt her knee playing soccer. She had an MRI. Now, all you do is just link what you do to what they just said. You confirm the connection. So you say, oh, well, I offer MRIs and CAT scans at my medical facilities like the one your daughter had when she hurt her knee. Look what happens. Oh, the eyebrows go up. Oh, they get it. Oh, they relate to it. Oh, they remember it. Now we're off on a 2-way conversation because, look, we had a dialogue in the first 60 seconds instead of a monologue. So from now on, everyone listening, step 1, first, what are the results of what you do that people experience or may have benefited from or may have used or see? So make it real world. And then pose it as a 3-part question. Have you, a friend or family member, ever done this? Now stop and listen. And do we have time for another example, or shall we move on, Adam? What do you think?
No, let's do one more example, because I'd like to run something past you and see if I'm doing it right. So you carry on, and then I'll frame something to you.
Okay. Well, I know you have a global show, so we have people listening from all countries. So I had an opportunity to speak in Ireland for a YPO. And one of the CEOs came up to me in advance and he said, Sam, I'm going to tell you something I've never really told anyone. I'm an introvert. He said, I come to these conferences, I fly halfway around the world, and then I hang out in my hotel room because I hate that chit chat. It's just small talk. It's just not my thing. Plus, I'm a techie. I run a tech firm. I can never explain what it is in a way people get it. It's so awkward. So I said, can we play? He said, sure. I said, okay, what are the results of what you do that people benefit from, experience, use, see, touch? And he said something about financial software and credit cards and computers. Finally, my light bulb went off. I said, oh, do you make the software that makes it safe for people to buy things online? He said, yes. I said, now don't tell people that. I said, in fact, with a 3-part question, do you want to stack the deck to almost guarantee that they're going to relate to what you do and get it? He said, sure. I said, what are the top 3 online retailers right now? He said Amazon, Travelocity, and eBay at that point. And I said, okay, so say, do you know anyone, could be yourself, a friend or family member who shops online, like on Amazon, Travelocity, or eBay? Because see, he just increased the likelihood that almost everyone he meets will, if they don't do it themselves, will know someone. They could even say, I hate that stuff, but my wife's on Amazon all the time. She loves the free shipping. Oh, I make the software that makes it safe for your wife to buy things on Amazon. Oh, and Adam, he got a little misty-eyed. And I said, what? And he said, I cannot wait to get home after this convention. And I said, why? He said, I can finally explain to my 8-year-old son what I do in a way he'll understand it. That's the power of this.
That is really cool. And after I saw your TED Talk, I wrote down a couple of notes and I talked to my business partner and co-host of the show, Toby, about different ways that we could introduce what we did when people ask that very question, what do you do? And, often, as you say, it can be such a boring response that people give and such a self-centered response that's a monologue and not a conversation. So I was trying to explain to Toby your elevated connection that you've just been talking about. So what I decided I'd start trying to say is, when someone says to me, what do you do? I would say, do you or a friend work in marketing? And then they would either say, yes, I do, or my friend Mary does. And then I would say, well, I create the tools that people like Mary can use in their marketing consulting business to earn more revenue. Is that how I would frame it with that question, and then create the hook to, well, I create tools that marketers use to earn more consulting revenue? Is that a good way of doing it, or is there room for improvement there?
Well, let's tweak it, okay? Shall we play a little bit?
That would be great.
Okay. First is the power of 3. Our goal, once again, is that almost anyone we meet is going to be able to relate to what we do. So if we see, that's a very narrow question. Do you or someone you know work in marketing, right? There's a lot of people who are going to say, no, they don't know anyone who works in marketing. So I would do the power 3. Do you know anyone? Pause. Could be yourself, a friend, or maybe someone at work, right? Because if they work for a company, somebody in their company works in marketing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And they may say, well, I'm an engineer. I hate that stuff, but I know Charlie. Charlie runs the marketing department. So do you see how important that power of 3 is? And deliberately asking a question that increases the likelihood that they'll know someone who's experienced what you do?
Yeah, it kind of keeps the conversation going, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah. Because they're going to say, well, I'm a teacher, or well, I work in retail. But they will know someone in their company, at that store, or at their school, or something that's in marketing. And now another way I think we can tweak this, Adam, is we want to get their eyebrows up with the results, because we give people the tools to help them improve their income. That doesn't pop enough yet, right?
Yep.
So do you help people triple their income? Do you help people get better, double their results in half the time? So what is something more specific that would actually, would make me go, I want that? So what results do you get with your marketing?
Okay, so marketing consultants can start using our material and start earning revenue straight away or on day one.
All right, we're going to keep playing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You just talked about start ramp time, right? Is that you accelerate the learning curve, or you cut the learning curve, or it's easy to use and easy to apply, right?
Yeah, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can just start using the tools straight away.
Okay, now, using the tools is a means to the end, because we want a bottom line result, because you know that for people to pay for something, or for people even to pay attention to something, it has to get them real world, almost measurable results, right?
Yes.
So it's not just it's not just these tools are easy to use. It's not just that it's going to reduce the ramp time. It's not just that someone new to marketing could use them. Are these for seasoned marketers as well?
Yeah, they're for seasoned marketers.
Okay. So when we're talking about money, when somebody markets something well, what is the end result of that? And let's talk about is that they can turn skeptics into buyers, or they can triple their effectiveness in half the time, because we want to go both for time and money. So what's something you're comfortable saying that your tools actually help people do?
Okay, great. So if a marketing consultant takes these tools, they can easily earn $1,000 in the first day that they use them with a client, or start putting $1,000 in their pocket as soon as they start using them with their existing clients.
Okay, so we're talking about $1,000 in the pocket. And this so far would only, it sounds to me, see, this is not just used for solo entrepreneurs or internet marketers. It can be used for corporations or associations too?
Look, it can, but we are trying to niche at the moment, realizing it's mostly marketing consultants that are buying our material. So we're really trying to tailor what we offer to marketing consultants.
All right. So if you're tailoring it for marketing consultants, then we're talking about a certain level of sophistication, right? I mean, they know what they're doing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so see, I wouldn't go for the ease of use. What seasoned people want, what experts want, is something they haven't seen before, because they read a lot, they go to a lot of programs, they think they already know a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually, and I keep coming to the double win of, you will double your effectiveness and your income in half the time with our innovative tools that give you a competitive edge. Because see, effectiveness goes to speed and efficiency, right?
Yep.
And money, income, and we got the alliteration going. So it's double your effectiveness, which is about getting more done in half the time, right?
Yep.
Double your income, which is money in your pocket. And by doubling your income, whether you're, $1,000 in your pocket or, $1 million in your pocket, it still applies. So do you see how that's more inclusive?
Mm.
And half the time goes to, Richard Branson said, time is the new money. And so by having both money and time and effectiveness in there, but see, for seasoned marketing consultants, that's still not enough. I think that you've got to go to, like, these are first of their kind, or these are one of their kind, or these are innovative that they haven't seen before, that gives them a competitive edge. Because John Cotter out of Harvard, he said, you know what the number one prerequisite is for change? A sense of urgency.
Okay.
So see, if you're meeting someone, let's play. It's like, do you know anyone? Could be yourself, could be, a friend, could be someone at work who is involved, and I would say involved with marketing. Because they're going to say, my friend is a chiropractor and he's learning he's got to be a good marketer, not just a good chiropractor. Or, my friend is senior vice president of marketing. So do you see, it leaves it wide open, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to give you specific information so you can customize and tailor in the spot. But you see, whether it's a chiropractor who's got to market himself, or whether it's a senior VP of marketing for, a big corporation, if you talk, say if it's a senior VP, then you could say, our tools will help your team, your marketing team, double their effectiveness and income in half the time. We do that by giving you innovative, haven't seen that before, tools that gives you a competitive edge.
Okay.
We're just playing, but what do you think so far?
Yeah, that's certainly making a lot of sense.
The competitive edge is people are always thinking, well, how are you different? Why you and not the other guys? And why should I do it now and feel some compulsion to buy now as opposed to procrastinating or putting it off because I don't feel urgency, right? So that's where the first of their kind can't find them anywhere else. And that gives you a competitive edge, kind of motivates them, inspires them to buy now or sign up now or at least want to find out more now or recommend.
And see, a lot of the conversations for me, I feel, would go, okay, and tell me more about these tools. And I say, well, there's 33 free marketing templates that you can use straight away. Use them with your client. But there's also further down the track, if they want to pay for more detailed material and the workbooks and everything else, then they can go that next level deeper and pay for stuff and make even more revenue, earn even more revenue in much less time by not having to reinvent the wheel of creating all these workbooks. They can just get straight in and start using it with their customers or their marketing team. So to me, it opens up that conversation as well.
Can we play a little bit with that?
Sure.
Okay. So, and this is for everyone listening. It is one of the most important things I've learned about the intrigue process, and it's about giving and getting attention. So when you ask, do you know anyone? And they say, oh yeah, it's so and so. And they say, tell me a little bit more. Guess what you say?
I don't know.
You say, I would be glad to tell you a little bit more. And first, may I ask a couple other questions about George or about Sue? Whatever they bring up, you always put the ball back in their court. And because you're focusing on marketing consultants. Let's say they say, oh, well, I don't do it, but my brother is a marketing consultant. He has his own shop. And he says, so tell me more. And you see, if you go right into your 33 tools, you don't know what kind of marketing consultant his brother is. So if you say, I'll be glad to tell you more, and first, may I find out a little bit about your brother? What kind of marketing does he do? And he may say, oh, he's really into marketing with social media. Or he may say, oh, he's really into marketing. He works with politicians. Do you see, once again, he's going to give you more information so that then when you start saying something, this is one of the most important things we're going to say today, Adam, is that a journalist named Eleanor Clift said, we're all in a race to be relevant. And by you coming back and asking one more question about what they say, going a sentence deeper, they're going to tell you how you can make sure what you say is relevant to them. So at the end of the conversation, they remember it, and they're going to say, hey, you're going to tell your brother, hey, I met this guy today. I think you really want to check him out. Here's his site, or here's his card, or something. And that's why they're called elevator connections.
I like it. I really do. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that on the spot there with us, because I think, I've personally found it very valuable that listeners will be able to adapt that for their own elevator connection. That is
Good.
Cool. That is really cool.
That's our hope.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so how can people find out more about you?
Well, it's real easy. They can go to my website, which is Sam Horn. So it's SAM as in Mary, Horn, HORN as in Nancy.com. And you were gracious enough to mention my TED Talk. My TED Talk's on there. I've got a lot of blogs and information about the new book, Got Your Attention, which has lots more techniques like the ones we just discussed.
Awesome. Well, I will include links to your book, and I'll include the video in the show notes as well. Congratulations on it being a Washington Post bestseller. That is fantastic news. And thank you so much for joining us today, Sam.
You're welcome, Adam. I hope people found it intriguing and useful.
Absolutely. I found you very intriguing and very useful. So thanks on behalf of all of our listeners. And there we go. That's a wrap for my chat with Sam Horn, the Washington Post best-selling author of Got Your Attention. Wow, a few interesting take-home bits of advice there. And for me, the best part was not going into that infobesity, that information overload of just regurgitating everything that you know or everything about you or your company, but really creating intrigue by posing them as questions. Did you know questions? Or do you know somebody who works as this? Do you know somebody who shops online? Because that way you're really getting that buy-in and that interest from and the attention from the other person. So I also like the elevator connection idea. I like the idea of involving the other person and finding that hook to make it relevant for them. Because, as a marketer, as Sam was helping me in the podcast, you can represent different value to different people. And the more you know about that person, well, the more value you can be. So if you can actually extract from the conversation whether the person you're talking to works in marketing or whether the person you're talking to has a friend or a family member that works in marketing or in political marketing or in book marketing, what that enables me to do is to actually tailor my conversation, my message to the exact person I'm talking to. And when it's relevant to their situation or to somebody who they actually know themselves, then of course it's going to be a much more lively and interesting conversation for them because I've taken the effort to understand their point of view and not just regurgitate a canned response that is supposed to be all things to everybody. I've actually tailored it to them. So I found that very, very useful, and I'm going to try to enhance my elevator conversation, my elevator connection that I have with people. And I have Sam to thank for that. There was actually one more question I wish I'd asked her, and that was how do we reach out to people online? So anyway, I might have to get her on the show for another interview and ask her that. But I'm really fascinated by, the good ways to reach out to people and the bad ways to reach out to people. Because I get some reach out emails, or outreach emails, whatever you want to call it, where people literally write like 5 or 10 paragraphs of information. And it's just too much. You can't actually, get around to reading it all because it's too much. You don't need to know that information. And I much prefer short, like maybe 1 or 2 3-line emails where it just introduces them, or there's a question that I can respond to so we can have a little bit of an interaction so it's easy to digest and easy to start getting momentum forward in the relationship. So I was actually really keen to find out if she had any some pro tips for reaching out to people online that we could put into practice as well. But never mind, we'll get her back on the show one of these days. This show is brought to you by mine and Toby's book, which is called Web Marketing That Works. And you, as our valued listener, can get your hands on the 33 free marketing templates at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. They're yours to use with your clients, to use with your own marketing team, to use yourself. And if you like them, then I'm sure that you will enjoy our book, which is called Web Marketing That Works. So go ahead and make the most of those free resources. And finally, thanks to everybody who leaves a review on iTunes. It really does help our visibility. We've been fortunate enough to stay in, for the most part, in the What's Hot section for business, education, and technology for the last year or 18 months that we've had the podcast. So thank you very much for your ratings and reviews. It really does help us attract more listeners and get good quality guests on the show. So with that, you take care, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.